Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Manny Talks Shooting, the shooting podcast on the internet, because I am a glutton for punishment, and I like to record these in my free time. I don't have free time. Just don't be kidding yourself. Anyway, let's talk about the title sponsor of the podcast, Go Fast Don't Suck. Check over gofastdon'tsuck.net. Bill Duda's got everything you might need. He's got the hurtful memes on the internet. He's got banners for your matches. He's got new banner material that's mesh, and I really enjoy it, actually. So you can see the light coming through it. You can see shooters behind it, yet you still get that nice visual effect of your logos for your sponsors. So check them out there. Dry fire targets, hoodies, hats, whatever. Go check them out. GoFastDon'tSuck.net. Tell them Manny sent you. Move on with your day. Without further ado, we've got a great show today with you. We've got the Area 3 Director, Mr. Scott Arnburg. Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Manny. How are you?
I am fantastic. For anyone who doesn't know, Scott and I met a couple weeks back at the Michigan Sectional, where Scott, I guess, no, you didn't get a choice. I squatted myself with you, and then that was the end of the
I got to see you at your finest as a match director.
Yeah, or my right before breaking points.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
It's the only good thing out of that whole situation is I realized that it's not just me that my performance suffers greatly trying to be a match director and a competitor.
Yes, and I will never try to shoot on that day again. I will now forever shoot through.
I can't remember the last. So I've run Andrew Smith and I have run the Iowa sectional for the last 5 or 6 years, and I don't think I've ever shot it after the first year. My performance was so poor that it just wasn't worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I talked to people before and after. They're like, "Oh, you got to shoot it," or like specifically, I talked to Leif Kunkel, and he's like, "Yeah, man, all the work you put into it, you have to shoot it." Like it's. So I did, and I don't regret shooting it. I regret shooting it when I did. So
Right. Well,
I think,
hopefully you have better luck than I do. I've never been able to truly disconnect from the management side and really focus on the match.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I was happy. I performed to my classification at a major match, so I was happy.
Yeah, well, there you go. You did better than I did. Typically, I'm 20 to 30% below my normal.
But I will say it does depend on who shows up. That's for sure.
Yeah,
And you've got some spicy heat out there in Area 3.
we do. We do. We've got a local GM that kind of takes everybody to the woodshed every week, and so it's nice to measure yourself against.
Now, who's that
Craig
GM?
Tappy.
Oh, okay. I know who he is.
Yeah,
I don't know him, but I remember the name.
Craig Tappy's a great guy, very humble, but a heck of a shooter.
Yeah, he just cleans the scoreboard with all y'all.
Yeah, I think he was 20% over everyone on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Well, Scott,
Well,
I mean, go ahead.
well, he's been top 15 for sure, and I think top 10 at nationals.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's impressive, and that's the nice thing is that they're not just a local hot dog; they are actually nationally competitive.
Yeah.
And I think that's I wish all GMs were like that, because sometimes they make it on the local club day, but when it comes to a major or nationals, they crap the bed.
And kind of the cool thing, and not to tangent off too much, is I've been in this game here locally for 18 years, and he was here when I started, and it's interesting to see him go through, finish school, start a career, and really kind of grow up around us. It's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing that next generation. We have one of our junior shooters now that just got accepted to West Point, and that's pretty cool to see him move from high school into get accepted into the military college, and he'll leave in June.
Oh, that is impressive.
Yeah.
And then when they come back from leave, they'll just murder you at a USPSA match.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know how much practice time he'll have at West Point.
That's true. That is true. Well, Scott, so people get to hear best banter for a few minutes, but some people, I mean, they know your name, but they don't know who you are. So, who
Sure.
is Scott Arnburg, and how did you get into shooting?
Sure. So I grew up in Iowa. I started as a hunter. I did deer hunting, small game, upland game, and lots of shotgun sports throughout high school. A good friend of mine and I ran a trap line for a while, and then I got my first job out of my first career. I did X-ray. I took that. I went to a 2 year school straight out of high school. It was one of those. Mom gave me the opportunity to either get out or go to school, and I was lazy, so I went to school. Did that. Moved to Atlantic, Iowa. It's a very, very small town, a few thousand. Um, it was not for a 20-something-year-old, it was not a target-rich environment. So I then relocated and went back to Sioux City, went to college to study medicine, decided that was not a fit, switched over to finance, and got here in Des Moines, got married, met my wife, my stuff moved, and 8 months later, I moved after I got a job here. And I bought my first pistol. I was probably, I don't know, 24, 25. And I shot an IDPA match with a guy that I don't think shoots anymore. But I remember it was like, wow, this is pretty cool. This is way more fun than standing and poking holes in paper. And so I did that for a little bit, and then I found out about a USPSA match, and that would have been probably 19 years ago. And here I am today. I was started shooting USPSA the only gun I owned. It was a Sig 220 with 8 round mags in production in 45. That was yeah, that was painful, but I enjoyed it. Next thing I know, I was an early adopter of the Canyon Creek XD with the sunken Bomar. Um, where we kind of push the envelope of what was allowed in production.
Mm-hmm. Oh wait, that's the XD before it was made by Springfield or imported by Springfield.
That's when it was just imported from
Okay.
Croatia. It was before the M, so it was the XD 5-inch tactical. It's still a great gun. I've got them, um, but one of the first polymer guns, long time ago.
Yeah.
Now, so fast forward, the only club was in Osceola. It's about a 45-minute one-way drive. Got involved with a local Isaac Walton League that had a single rifle pistol bay, and we started a steel challenge club. There was about half a dozen of us, a dozen of us, and we did that for a year, and then we switched over and started running USPSA, and we would run 3 stages in a single bay. It was kind of interesting. It was a big bay, but that was kind of humble beginnings. We did that for several years, grew the club. Um, 2012, we moved 33,000 cubic yards of dirt and built 4 more shooting bays. Uh, and then from there, we've just kind of blossomed to today. The club, the host club has went from when I first started less than 200 members to now we have over 800 members. Um, we have $1 million in assets, and I'm still on the board there, leading the vision to the town is about 2.5 miles from us, and getting closer every day. Um, the We're nice and close. We're 20 minutes from the Des Moines Metro. But that still leaves us in Polk County, which has been very interesting for building permits and ordinances. And a great example is we have a 1/4 mile of privacy fence because our gravel drive is closer than 75 feet to the property line, and the cornfield is very offended by that gravel. So that $30,000 fence that we had to build, we could not get a variance on because the cornfield is offended by how close our gravel drive is to our property line.
That darn corn, how dare it be offended?
I know, it's terrible. So,
Well, I
and
mean,
and
go ahead.
and then the USPSA club grew up, and now we are number 3 in Area 3 mission count every year. We run a weekly USPSA match every Tuesday night. This year, our numbers are finally coming back. Last week or this week, yesterday, even with 20 mile an hour sustained winds and 40-mile-an-hour gusts, we could not put a popper out. No matter what size, forward falling, rear falling, we could not put one out. It was so windy. We still had 38 people, and kind of a unique situation. We do setup day of, so I usually arrive at the facility about 3 o'clock. And over the years, we've built custom trailers to hold all the props you need to build a single large field course. And so I drop one of those trailers on each of the 4 bays that we're going to have stages on. And then people show up and I guide them and get the stages built. We shoot them, we tear them down. So yesterday I hit the range at 3 o'clock and I was in my truck with everything put away and scores uploaded by 7:30. 38 people shot.
That's impressive. 3 squads, I'm assuming, or did you go to 4 squads?
3 squads. 3 squads. It was down the week before. Usually the number for, in my mind, the number for an ideal squad is 10 or more. I would rather have 12 than 8.
Because you've always got the 4 people who
Yep.
aren't necessarily affecting the reset.
Correct. And this week we did a one of the new 2022 classifiers that's multi-stage or multi-string. So one of our bays is 35 yards wide and 35 deep. And so we usually do 2 small stages there. But because we had a multi-string stage, I opted just to do the 4 stages instead of 5. So typically at those matches, I try to look for 2 field courses, a medium course, and 2 short. I'm a very, I dislike, well, actually, that's not how the better way to say it is I like the way IPSC does it in dictating match construction, where it's for every long course, there's 2, I think it's 2 mediums and 3 shorts, or there's some ratio that you have to have. I like that variety. I think a short course can bring a lot of different challenges. You won't necessarily win a match on a short course, but you can sure lose it.
Oh, 100%. That is definitely a true statement about plenty of stages I have to shoot this weekend. So
Yeah. And I get there early enough that I typically build a little more complex stage that is a little harder difficulty. So the one last night had a swinger at 18 yards activated by a stop box that you had to advance up range to get to. The shooting area was kind of a T. And then as you moved through the shooting area, there were 10 different targets that you could see, some from only a single positions, but several of them you could see from multiple positions. So you had to remember, what have I already shot? You know, that's a way that I like to make a stage more difficult without penalizing the competitor. The penalty, so to speak, are the extra rounds fired in the extra time. It's not like throwing a no shoot on there and having headshots or lots of hard cover that impose a true penalty. The competitor, especially your newer competitor, be like, "Oh man, I shot that one 4 times." Oh, but if you throw them out there and they're like, "Oh man, I smoked that no shoot 3 times. Oh, that's such a hard shot. I'm discouraged." A lot different feeling. You send your newer competitors away with a different feeling. That's one of the things I've done throughout the years in managing my clubs is periodically I'll go back through the registration, because we were an early adopter for practice score. So I think if I pull up our club, and I will here just a second, because now I'm curious. We've run all the USPSA matches through a single club. And so when we go into practice score, we can see that history and say, how many matches do we have? So our primary club, 405 USPSA matches. So I would say I have been RM or match director for 95% of those.
Now you're doing a Tuesday night match every week plus what? One local a weekend, or sorry, one weekend match a month?
Primarily just the Tuesday night matches. We'll throw in a weekend here or there, and then our sectional we do every year. There's other clubs that could do it in Iowa, none that really want to. I make it available. I work with our section coordinator. I had done that job for 10 years, but now Jason Ross has taken that over to see if anyone else wants to do it. And so far, no one has really shown an interest. There's about 3 clubs that could host it.
Well, yeah, and your club's interesting. You've got the 5 bays that you can put a 10 or 11 stage match on the ground for
11 plus chrono normally, yes. So we
impressive.
will pair up either a field course, a long field course, 20. I define long as what, 28 plus, and a short course, sometimes a stand and shoot standards like. And then some of the bays will have 2 medium courses, and then we have a kind of a tail berm that's an L shaped that we put a stand and shoot in, and then I pair that with chrono. And I purposely put the stage on the very south end and chrono kind of on the north end. So you shoot the fast stage, you walk, you chrono, and that's about the same amount of time it takes another squad to shoot 2 bays. Barring weather, for our sectional, we'll start shooting around 8, and we're typically done by 3:30 or 4 with a 40-minute lunch break. We've got a great relationship with a local restaurant just down the road. So they come in and they make fresh food to order. There's no sandwich boxes. Last year I think staff got lasagna. Then it was hamburgers, hot dogs, brats one day, pulled pork. They have a different menu. The only comment there is, man, did COVID make all that expensive?
Whew. Oh yeah, like food costs, wood costs, everything, every cost is up.
Yes. Well, we saw that across the board. Clay birds went up about 40%, and we have a very active clay target program. We throw, I think I figured it up, when all 4 of our trap teams are going, we're throwing 20,000 clay targets a week.
Oof, those are some birds.
Yep. So each a semi holds 23 pallets, and we shoot 3 semis worth a year.
That's
I say we. I have a trap gun and I have money on my cards to shoot trap, but I think that's when I'm too crippled up to run for USPSA and I don't want to shoot steel game.
Shotguns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's fun, but they're a little laid back for me. They do a lot of more coffee drinking and talking than they do shoot.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Like for our shotguns, like you've been to the club, there's those nice, sporting clay stands that they all shoot at. It's kind of weird when you drive back to go to the event or events bays, like we're gonna go set up, and the shotgunners are there, and we're just driving the speed limit. They always give you this weird look. They're like, where the hell you go? I'm like, I'm not a shotgunner.
We're going to the fun stuff. You guys have a really nice facility. I was impressed. That was my first trip. I look forward to, if you keep running that in April. That was my first major this year.
See, and that was the interesting part. Like, I was very nervous about it being in April because it's Michigan in April. Like, it's definitely, it was not intended to be in April, but it worked out fairly well for the Saturday shoot. The competitors on Sunday, they got drenched a little bit. Uh-oh. Did I lose you, Scott?
Only one person came with me. It was great. It sprinkled on us just a little bit at the end.
Yep. Nope. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I got a warning that my internet was unstable.
it's okay. I'll fix it. Ugh. But it's okay. But yeah,
Yeah, they were worried about the lake effect snow. It was fine. We got a little bit of rain right at the end. It was kind of fortuitous, actually.
yeah, it wasn't bad. Sunday was a little more rain, but we got through it okay.
Yeah.
Most competitors did not like that I didn't use waterproof targets, but
I'm not sold on them. You've got to use different targets, different pasters. Um,
they double your cost on targets like alone.
well, it's good. Well, I don't know what they are now because I think I priced the other day at Shooters Connection, the regular targets by the time you add in shipping are up to $1 almost.
Yeah, I think I looked at it I think I looked at it and I want to say they were you could buy 100 targets from Shooters Connection for the price you could buy 50 waterproof targets.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're twice as expensive. Or yeah, they're twice as much.
Mm-hmm.
So I've actually work a deal. We have a forklift and a concrete floored shelter with or barn with pallet racking. So I just ordered 4,800 IPSC targets and 1,600 USPSA targets and 20 cases of paint, and I'm getting it delivered, I think, for $400.
That's not bad.
So if you're in the Midwest and you can find speedy delivery that delivers to you, that is the way to go. You just work with your target supplier, and we've used law enforcement targets out of Minneapolis before, and you just tell them, and they put them on a pallet, loose packed, wrap them in plastic. Speedy picks it up with a forklift, and they show up, and we take it off the semi in a forklift, and the shipping is the killer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm ending up at like 65, 68 cents a target. And then I will resell at cost to the clubs in the state. So that then they can enjoy that savings. And it's just one way I try to help promote the sport in the area.
Mm-hmm. Well, it especially helps. I mean, we tr- I think we as a section have tried to do that where someone would buy targets or we do a bulk order. It's like somebody who has the sectional will be like, okay, I'm buying targets. You need to let me know what you need so then I can order it, but then you're on the bill for whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
But that the targets have definitely gone up and it's unfortunate because some clubs just really can't afford the extra cost because they don't bring in a lot of shooters, so their budget is a lot less than some other clubs.
Well, I would argue it's not their volume of shooters, it's they're pricing it wrong, right? And it's just, so I'm a numbers guy and I know what it costs for every shooter. So I know right now my cost pre this last round of increases was about $4.80 per competitor, assuming what I think I assumed 14 targets on an average stage by the time you throw in no shoots. And I know now that that's 480 if you shoot a classifier. It is $1.50 less if you don't have a classifier, but we typically have a classifier every week. It seems like I've always got someone either changing divisions or a new person. And our club, culturally pushes USPSA membership pretty hard. If I were to look at I just today I uploaded the scores from this week. 38 competitors, one person didn't have an active or didn't have a USPSA number. So now, could there be a couple expired people? Maybe, but 37 people at least had been a USPSA member at one point if they were not currently one.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's still
Uh,
impressive. I mean,
yeah,
I think, I think most people, at least in my area, well, I shouldn't say area because I can't speak for the whole area. At least in my section, there's a lot more members than they're non-members. But if
right,
they're not members, they become members.
right. Yeah, well, I have a handful of people that they don't care about classifications. They don't care. They don't travel to level twos, so they don't really see a point in joining. A couple of them have just joined yes, their primary love is three gun, and three gun nationals is in Forest Lake. So they joined in advance of that, so that they were ready to go for nationals.
That's nice, especially since they're
Yeah.
able to get into nationals. It's not like, oh, I want to go to Carry Optics Nationals. I'm sorry, it's full.
Yeah, yeah, and I think there's some that is HQ is very aware of that, and I think Jake has some great ideas on how to help fix that, and so expect news from them at from us some point in the future on that. That is a pain point. I know there's a desire there to have everybody that wants to shoot a nationals the opportunity to shoot a nationals.
Hmm.
I think that's one of the things that makes our sport special. Um, I explained it to someone one time, if you're a swimmer and you like to swim, that you have about zero chance of ever sharing the pool with Michael Phelps, right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Right. But, in our sport, you could share the range with Max Michel and JJ although the famous people, you could share the range with them. You're obviously not going to shoot at their skill level, but you could compete in the same event. And I
100%. Yeah.
so
Fun fact is, I was actually a swimmer, and I did get to compete against someone of Michael Phelps's caliber. But it was only for a few short years until he actually got out of high school and then went on to the Olympic trials. And
yeah,
but yeah, but
uh,
yeah,
I swim in hot tubs.
they're kind of small. I don't know how you do that. I mean,
Well, that's the closest thing I do to swimming. I mean,
yeah,
just yeah, I don't know. Never remember my thing.
yeah. So that's true. I could just imagine you and Andrew just chilling in a hot tub after the match, just like
Oh, easy,
it's
easy, easy.
like oh, this is relaxing, but it's like we got to drive tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh boy, that was quite an interesting drive home. That storm was no joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went back, we showered, and we left. And I got back to town. I dropped him off. It was about 1 in the morning, and I had just dropped him off. And my daughter messages me, "Hey, after prom's over, who's going to pick me up?" I'm like, "I'm on the way." It worked perfect.
That is perfect then. But Lord have mercy. You were gone on prom weekend?
Yes. Yep. My wife took one for the team, and she did prom weekend. It started on Friday with nails and petties, and went all the way through Friday night into Saturday and Saturday night, and I picked him up Sunday morning. So I have a 16-year-old daughter, a 15-year-old son, and then I have a 16-year-old foster girl right now too. So my house, the drama occasionally runs a little deep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was just like I ain't got no vehicles. Leave me be.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, but yeah. So I'm really impressed. Like I know Joel. I've listened to you a couple times with Joel, or
yep,
even before. Like he talked great. Him and Cody Axon would talk about the Iowa match and how great it would run, and it's nice to see that one you put on a phenomenal match in only 5 days. Like I if someone around here tried to do that, they'd be insane. But you figured it out because you just figured it out.
yeah.
Like, was the first
Well,
year rough, or did you hit the ground running with a really good plan?
uh, I I don't think anyone would believe me if I didn't tell you the first year was rough. I mean, we've run a yeah, the first year was rough. But now that we've done it for 5 or 6 years and we've got 400 matches under our belt, we've got a little bit of practice. That doesn't count the Steel Challenge, or we host the IDPA state match pretty much every year also. And that's kind of a fun event. So the IDPA state match staff shoots on Friday. The main match is Saturday. And then on Sunday, we convert all the stages over to USPSA stages, and we shoot what's called a cleanup match. So you get to shoot a 10-stage match for $10. And the cost, part of the cost of shooting the match is you got to help tear down. And so you get a 10-stage sectional level match for a dollar a stage. And
Because the
tear
club's
down,
already made their money.
Because the club's already made. Well, so we have a little different thing, right? So our club has 800 members. It costs $200 a year to be a member. Um, to say that they don't pay the bills would be wildly inaccurate. So there is the expectation that practical shooting has to be profitable, but we don't have to be wildly profitable. And part of our mission as an Isaac Walton League is to bring people into the outdoors. We choose to do it through shooting sports. And so it's also part of our nonprofit mission to hold events like this to build the shooting sports as a whole. Wow. So it gives me the advantage of, I have a set prop budget every year. So this is our 10th year of operation. My prop budget is varied between $5 and $10 grand a year. We've got about all the toys we need. If you think about it, we probably have it somewhere we have the 40 by 60 barn, and then I have 3 40-foot connexes. No, 2 40-foot connexes, all full of practical shooting props. And we have 18 plate racks.
That's a lot of plate racks.
So we absorbed, and when ammo gets a little more reasonable, we run a falling steel match that's all plate racks, and we can put out 15 stages at a time. And it's not everything is round. There's letters, there's numbers, there's bowling pins, there's donuts. Try shooting a donut plate.
Okay. So people who want to miss the calibration zone will obviously hit the donut really well because they can't hit the calibration zone.
Right. And it's sometimes I've seen that match turn into accuracy through volume. But it's a lot of fun. It's a Big Dog Steel is that match, and I'm hoping it will come back. We tried to have it so first year of COVID smoked it because the government closed us down. The first year we had it in 18, and then whatever, the year before COVID, had it, went great. The next year, government closed us down. The next year, ammo was so expensive and so hard to get that if you even at 12 stages, 5 runs a stage, you're talking 600 rounds. Right now primers are still a little hard to get. Are you going to burn 600 of them on a falling steel match? Probably not. Yeah, and so we had, I think, 12 people signed up, and 8 of them were staff. And so we're just kind of waiting for the ammo and the primer market to come back. I mean, I bit the bullet and paid $8 a hundred, $8, yeah, $8 a hundred, because I found them at Fleet Farm. You don't usually find them here in Des Moines yet.
Yeah, same here. Like, you got to buy them online. I haven't been to a local gun shop quite recently, but still, like when I was, you couldn't find primers. They didn't have any.
Yeah. And you could get, I actually bought some of those Argentina ones off of Powder Valley, and my plastic M&P will set them off just fine. I don't have any problems with them.
Yeah, you're plastic fantastics.
I may have one of the new competitors on the way to play with.
Oh, there you go. I'm just sad that it's not like it's aluminum, not steel. I was hoping that it'd be steel. And
yeah, you gain like 4 ounces over the plastic gun.
Yeah, but at least then you won't have to worry about destroying your frame practicing reloads in dry fire.
Actually, the thing I have is I squeeze the grip hard enough sometimes that the mag won't come out.
That could be a problem.
You're not supposed to have that much firing hand tension, but one of the things, in fact, last July I took the Ben and Joel class, and I was diagnosed as having dry fire grip. And so that's been one of my focuses throughout the year to really get on that grip. And I've noticed a big difference. Now that I'm getting some serious pressure with that offhand, but occasionally I'll get it into the primary hand. And I had that when I shot open with the polymer grip. I couldn't have anything that was stippled
Mm-hmm.
because I could absolutely hold the mag in, and I would hold the mag in and not even really realize it.
Yeah, that's definitely I have that kind of issue. I have too much strong hand tension, but I really have to like that's like a if anyone's listened to Anderson, he's got like focus phrases that people say or your feel. Like mine is very much like grip, grip, grip. With this, but like as I do it, I clench that hand, my support hand,
Yep.
purely for the fact is just to get that ingrained. You need to grip because you can kind of go fast with your finger if you grip the gun.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I've started to even doing in my walkthrough, right? As you're air gunning on a walkthrough, I find myself crushing my dominant hand with the offhanded because it's part of that trying to build that muscle memory. Because once the beep goes, I'm running an occluded dot, so I'm 100% trying to pick a spot on every target and driving the gun as hard as I can. And Joel and I just had a conversation the other day that I came out of a match and I shot very, very well. Top 10 locally. I think I was, a pretty good percentage of Craig. And I said, we had a couple stages that had between 8 and 10 pieces of steel, and I went 1 for 1 out of them, but I have no memory of the dot actually ever being on the steel.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I have a hard time arguing with the results, but I don't know how repeatable it is. Right? Is it one of those? Did all the forces line up, and did I will the bullet in, so to speak, or is it I just don't remember it, right? Because you don't remember it because you're so focused on, hey, picking a spot on each piece of steel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That is still impressive though. Like I was impressed. I don't think I saw many occluded dots throughout the whole match, but you had an occluded dot. I was like, yes, somebody did it.
Yeah, yeah. I've been running a occluded dot for quite a while. I never did it when I shot open. It's really when so this will be my second year shooting carry optics. For a long time, I was a production shooter. I've got the Tanfos and I liked running them. And carry optics started to get popular, and I got tired of being one of 4 people in production. And so I made the switch because that's where everyone is, and I want the competition. And I've really never looked back. I kind of view production now as USPSA hard mode, right? 10-round mags, minor scoring. You're making life difficult on yourself.
100%. Now, you switched to the MMPs for carry optics, but is there any thought of going and getting your Tanfolios milled for optics?
No, I actually prefer the lighter gun. I've got big hands. I'm a big guy. Not as big as I used to be, but I'm a big guy, and so I do not. I watch the gun in video. It really does not move.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. My dog has decided there's someone out front she has to bark at. Maybe. Oh, there's people walking by.
Yep. See, they are the like I have a park across from the street. Sorry to tangent, but my male Reggie, he's the park host, so he's got to know when anyone's at the park, and he's like, I want to go see them.
Yeah, yeah. We just got back from our 2 mile walk right before we did the podcast today, so she usually is pretty mellow after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like the plastic guns. I did open for a while. I got tired of doing the 2011 dance. Is your ammo absolutely perfect? Are your mags perfect? Is the gun gonna run? I lost patience and all that.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you have like a custom or did you have an STI?
No, I had a custom.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a couple different Sailor customs from Jim Anglin out of Omaha, and then I had a local guy build me one, and they ran all right. I just, I don't know, it just wasn't my thing.
Yeah, we will see how this weekend goes for me. I don't blame the gun. I blame me more than I blame the gun. But I think with the accommodations that the gun can make for me, I think I shouldn't have any problems.
Yeah. I don't have to be, so I don't enjoy cleaning guns,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't enjoy cleaning guns. I don't mind loading ammo, but I like being able to use the cheap coated bullets. Cheap powder. I don't have to roll size the brass. I set my press up a little different. I load on a 650, and so I'll resize with the Dillon resizer, and then the second station, I have the U die with the stem removed,
Mm-hmm.
and so then I move the powder over one, and then accommodate, and then the what is it, the Redding bullet seat crimp, and then out. So I don't use a bullet feeder either.
Mm-hmm.
But it allows me to size twice, and with that undersized die, I case gauge everything that I take to a match, and I'll probably have less than 1% failure,
Mm-hmm.
not without roll sizing the brass.
It's actually a smart idea. I didn't think about that, to take this decap resize in one, and then that's actually you've got
Yeah,
me
you just
thinking.
you just take the stem out, and so you end up resizing a second time with the U die,
Mm-hmm.
and then seating your primer and going around, and it doesn't really leave. You have no powder check, right? You could
Mm-hmm.
still use a bullet feeder, just not quite as easy.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I've got a little touch of short attention span, so 200 rounds is about the most I want to load at every given time. But my dry fire room is also my reloading room, so I'll go down there and I turn on the music. I'll load 200 rounds. I set my timer. I do 20 minutes of dry fire minimum. If I'm enjoying it, then I'll keep going until I'm tired of it. If I'm not enjoying it, then I quit at 20 minutes. I'm just like, okay, I've done enough. I make it 20 solid minutes. If I get squirreled and sidetrack on something, I actually stop the timer, but I try to put in that 20 minutes of effort every day. Um, working on, I just work on something different. And then I have the luxury of, since I build one or two stages every week, I'm like, well, your match showed me that I was not proficient at swingers. So we have had uh, a swinger in every stage for the last couple weeks, and then I have a group of guys that I travel with, and then I kind of initiate practice sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And so then this last practice session, we have a swinger that's stout enough that you can put two targets on it. Um, so that, every time, and they're like, well, why do you have two targets? I said, well, then one, it's two very different presentations. The one that's close to the axis doesn't move near as much. And the one that's 3 foot out on the sticks moves a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that I had to aim and trap the target differently. The low target, because the arc was so much narrower and so much shorter, I could follow it and consistently get alphas. The far one, I had to ambush it. It moved so fast and so much that I couldn't. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a nice practice session to go in and have two different types of swinger attacks at the same, with one setting of the prop.
That is beneficial. That's actually nice. That's an idea for us. Give me an idea for a state. Thanks everybody for stopping in the middle of this awesome conversation with Area 3 Director Scott Arnburg. But hey, we've got to plug the sponsors because it's the commercial. It's the best thing to do, the only thing to do. So let's start with the title. Go Fast, Don't Suck. Bill's producing awesome high quality products for the shooting sports, like his match banners, his new mesh match banners that I have experienced, and they are fantastic. And I like them a lot because you can see past them with sunlight through them, so you can see behind them if there's a shooter. So you don't have any of those issues, but also it shows off your sponsors just as well as the regular vinyl banners that he's been using. So check him out. GoFastDon'tSuck.net. Tell him Manny sent you in the comments and move on with your day. Without further ado, we got to talk about Hunters HD Gold. Brian Conley, the hardest working man in the shooting sports, going to every match possible in his mystery van or his truck, whatever he's running right now. I'm assuming it's the van by now that it's back up and running. Go check him out, huntershdgold.com. They've got this awesome new Gold Cup Series thing that you could win some money in a spot to nationals too. So check them out right there. We obviously can't forget my buddies over at DominateDefense.com. We get the Mach 1 speed belt combo. Use the code Manny Talks 10 for 10% off that Mach 1 speed belt combo. Best belt in the business. It's awesome ratchet, handmade in Idaho. Great shooters like Andrew Hyder, Eric Steiner, Tom Castro, Johnny Giordano use this belt just like myself, and we love it. So check that out. Manny Talks 10 for 10% off. We also can't forget DivTech, divtechshop.com. Get yourself 10% off your order with the code Manny Talks Shooting for 10% off. Any color under the rainbow. Awesome high level, high strength magnets that are awesome. They're going to match your belt. They're going to match your other gear because he's got almost every color that you could need. If he doesn't have it, throw it in the comments and maybe he'll get it on the next run. But hey, you never know. Anyway, Manny Talks Shooting for 10% off that order. We can't forget my friends Tony and Jackie over at Laugh and Load. They've got the awesome Pew Time podcast whenever they do that. Awesome match shirts that I appreciate, like hosting my official Manny Talks Shooting t-shirt, only available at laughandload.com. They've also got Supreme Division shirt, only shoot open because that's the best division. The AFT agent shirt, like the shirt that got me hooked on them. So check them out for that one too. You can't forget, run over to rangepanda.com. Go get yourself some custom phone when the orders open back up for that. 3D printed stuff for your press, CNC stuff for your press, and awesome shooting content by Eric and Gianni whenever they post that stuff up. It's great. Shooters for the shooters, high level shooters. So go check them out. Rangepanda.com. Tell them Manny sent you in the comments. I'd greatly appreciate that. We can't forget Tim Herron, the guy who got me into the shooting sports. Check him out, timherronshooting.com. He's got classes everywhere. Make sure you get on them fast because they always do fill up because he is very popular in the shooting sport. So check him out right there. We can't forget Outdoor Dynamics. They pull the handle so you don't have to. Steve Anderson says it, so I'll say it too because they got the missiles, librarians, and Andersons. Or it's Andersons and librarians. I can't remember. But then they've also got 9 major. I'm going to be doing some testing on that 9 major load here for my open gun. So we'll see how that tunes out. I'm really excited to actually look at it. So maybe I can be lazy and not have to load my own ammo, but I probably still will. But anyway, we'll check that out and let you guys know. We'll do a whole video on that for sure. We can't forget Targets USA manufactures the finest steel targetry on the planet. Thank you, Steve, for coming up with that because it's true. Jason makes awesome products, innovative products that you want as a shooter and as a match director because they are innovative and they last the test of time. I love the Rhino knockdowns for practice. I love the target stands that come up super easy. The angled ones so you can put them in a match and get low boys on your range. They're freaking awesome. So go check them out. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Summit City Bullets, guys. Go to summitcitybullets.com. Go get yourself some bullets, some lead-coated round nose, truncated cone, whatever you got, whatever they need. They've got it for you. Tell them Manny sent you. You can use the code MTS10%. Use that code and knows that they're coming from me. But go check them out. They've got green, red, black, blue. They've got a bunch of different colors. So check them out because they're based out of Fort Wayne. That's awesome. They're going to have their banners up. They're actually sponsoring the Area 5 match coming up here very shortly. But at our local Brooklyn matches, they're going to be sponsoring some stages as well. So, hey, you'll always see their banners on the stages. Actually, there'll be new Go Fast Don't Suck mesh banners. I've already got those. So, boom. We can't forget Chile Custom Gunworks, ccgunworks.com, guys. Go check them out. Full metal grips for your staccato, your Prodigy. You know you need them. You want to be super tactical. You want that weight. They're fantastic. But if you're having an open gun or limited gun build, use Chile Custom Gunworks parts because they are the finest. I think that's everybody. If I forgot anybody, it's my fault. But, we're at the commercial. Let me plug myself. Anyway, we're having a Tom Castro Shooting Academy class August 19th and 20th at Brooklyn Sportsman's Club. So get on that as soon as you can. It's coming up around the corner before I can even think. From the time of recording this and releasing this, it's about 3 months away. So we've got some time, but not a lot. So get in on that class. There's plenty of slots left. If you have questions, email me or DM me or Tom, and we'll get you squared away on that. So check that out. You can go find that out on Practice Score. It's also in my link tree that you can find on every page, my Instagram, and all that such. So go check that out. Tom Castro Shooting Academy class, August 19th and 20th at Brooklyn Sportsman's Club. But without further ado, let's get back into this excellent conversation with Scott Arnburg. Age now.
Oh, I built one that the week before that, and I had put an IPSC target and then a no shoot over the bottom of it. So the minimum amount of A zone available, no shoot, and then a second IPSC target. And so when I build a stage, I go out, we do a group walkthrough. And so that week we had like 40 people, and I had the swinger set, so the target was hidden. And I said, well, this popper activates it, and I activate it, and it went up, and I heard everyone go, oh, and I was like, man, that was worth it. And one of my local guys is kind of a sarcastic guy, but a great guy. He's like, you did that just for that reaction. That was what you wanted. I'm like, you're right. That made my whole night. Um,
So you said you did a group walkthrough. Do you then not give them a walkthrough when they hit the stage, or do they still get a 4-minute walkthrough?
it's they still get a 4-minute walkthrough, but what we're doing in our walkthrough is we're giving the written stage briefing, because there's no true written stage briefing. It's, hey, here's everyone, whoever designed the stage. So the way it works is I get there, I drop all the trailers, I start working on my stage. People check in with me and say, hey, what needs done? And then I just kind of keep it in my head. I said, okay, well, I need someone to go to Bay 5 to build the classifier. And then I remember kind of keep an eye who goes there. And then I have a few other of my regulars that have been with me for a decade or more that will just show up and look for an empty bay and start to build something. And then I typically walk around to make sure the stages are legal, and that they're 8-round neutral, that we don't have any shoot throughs and minor stuff like that. And then as a group, we'll go and do through the walkthrough, and then whoever designed the stage will come up and say, okay, it's 12 paper targets, 5 steel. The start position is toes on, marks, wrist below belt, gun loaded, holstered. Any questions? Um, and then if there's an activator, we'll show it. If not, then we move to the next stage. And that usually takes about 10 minutes, but it's worth it, because then if you have 4 squads, there's probably 5 people in the whole place that actually listened to one of listen to all the walkthroughs. So when the squad gets there, it's like, oh yeah, I remember what this is, and so everyone shoots it the same.
Mm-hmm.
We've tried having like fill out sheets for written walkthroughs, and it's just never been consistent. But doing the group walkthrough works pretty well. And then it has everybody together for announcing squads, and then we do announcements for what's going on, what we need help with, things like that.
Gotcha. That must be beneficial as well. Now, I listened to you on, I think it was the Paracast the other day, where you talked about you as an RM are not one to sit in a golf cart all match.
I prefer not to, no.
And it really impressed me that some of the things you talked about, like you hit the stopwatch and see how fast it takes to turn a bay.
Yep.
And your coaching method to coach up your ROs at your matches.
Right. It's all about building the team. My sectional, we usually put 3 to 4 staff members on each bay. Most of them are at this point, I think our home club, we have about 24 CROs and probably another 25 or 6 ROs. Then we have some that travel. And so we have 1 to 2 CROs on each bay, and then we'll have a few. We were early adopter for practice score, so we'll have a few who are just pure scorekeepers to free that second RO up to just watch the stage. And I kind of coach people. The guy with the timer, your job is the shooter. You don't worry about props. You don't worry about foot faults. I want you to watch that gun and give clear, concise range commands from the book. The second RO, I want you to watch for foot faults, watch for range equipment failures, watch for almost everything but the gun. And then the scorekeeper, if they're an actual RO, then they're out there as that third set of eyes. If they're just a scorekeeper, right, someone that's just knows how to run the device, sometimes they'll pick that up, but I don't expect as much from them. And I've had the benefit of some other RMs that have come to the match and volunteered, and it's really nice to be able to say, hey, here's I'm going to put you on a bay full of all new people, and have that little stiffening. But
and then they're like, "Oh, Scott."
yeah, but the other thing I do is, as we run RO classes, then I purposefully put myself with those new ROs, and I kind of push them into getting comfortable running the timer. Get up there and run it, and help them make the calls, and build them up and build their confidence, so that ultimately they become a better RO, and in turn a better competitor because they know the rules better.
Mhm.
Uh,
Do you find that a lot of people are timid of the timer?
for good or bad, yes, a lot of people are timid of the timer. Not so much that they're worried about running the timer, as they don't want the conflict of ever having to disqualify someone.
Hmm.
Um, Good or bad, my club has the culture, that, and we're fortunate that we have enough ROs. Very, very rarely does a non-USPSA certified RO get a hold of the timer
Hmm.
even at our club matches. We know, my stats guy knows everybody, and so he'll move people around and make sure that we have 2 or 3 ROs per squad, or 2 or 3 people that we know that aren't afraid to pick up the timer. Um, we're kind of a little bit on the turning point of some of our more seasoned ROs, would much rather run the timer because they can't see the tablet.
Yeah.
um, and we're starting, and actually we're kind of making that a little bit worse. Forever we used iPad minis, but in the last couple of years, practice score has been a little behind on. Um, I've wanted to use the Bluetooth timers, to add that additional service to shooters to be able to get the splits and everything through the other practice score app. I don't remember what the name of it is, but the support for Bluetooth timers on iPads is spotty. So recently we found some ruggedized Android phones that are about at that $180 price point, and so we're experimenting with those.
Like it's like as small as a phone?
It's a phone, yeah. It's an actual, and in fact, my uh, my Pixel 7, I'm on number 3 in 4 months, because the screen keeps going bad. I used one as a loaner for the last 4 days. As it was when you're used to a modern smartphone with all the bells and whistles, and you go to something that's pretty stripped down and basic, it
Hmm.
was painful.
God.
But
Oh.
we originally started scoring on iPad touches. That was our first devices way back. And then we went from iPad touches to some Android tablets, but the Android tablets were so slow. Then we went to iPads, um, and now we have a fleet of, I think, 16 iPad minis. And now we're looking at the phones, and the biggest advantage we're seeing with the Android phones is battery life.
Hmm.
Our Gen 3 iPad minis, we had new batteries put into all of them, and they still, especially if it's cold at all, we have to use an auxiliary battery pack.
Yeah. Kind of wish there was some way, some truly nice all seasons, all weather kind of device that could run practice score that didn't kill the device or die on weather.
Well, these new, and they're like Doijis. They were $180, I think, a piece through Amazon. So far they're working really good. They're robust. They have enough horsepower processor wise that they work really good, to run practice score. They stay connected, to our Bluetooth timers, and we use the Pocket Pro 2s.
Hmm.
Is my timer of choice. They stay connected to those really well,
Hmm.
and still stay connected. So our range has 100 meg Wi-Fi, facility wide. and it reaches clear to the back of the base. So we run, score logging for our club matches.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
we've
impressive.
been paperless forever.
Yeah. Same here. We don't, at least at the local matches, we don't worry about score logging, but we do score logging at our major matches or when we're just making sure that everything works.
Yeah. Well, we've just turned it on and just when Andrew remembers to turn it on, he remembers most of the time.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, last night I was trying to do a Zoom meeting while I was running the match, and our internet dropped, so that was inconvenient. I had to switch to my terrible phone quickly.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was not good.
Yeah. That's still, but yeah, I do say I do like the Pocket Pro 2s for one reason, but I don't own a Pocket Pro 2 anymore, is that the fact that they can pick up PCC shots better.
Yes,
The
and the new
AMG is nice, but that inconsistency, unless you know what you're doing with it.
yep, and the new ones are significantly more sensitive than the older versions.
Mm-hmm.
We just got 5 or 6 of the Bluetooth ones, and they are the timer is a little different color blue, and that's how I could tell them apart. And they are noticeably more. We actually had to turn the sensitivity down because it was picking up shots from the next bay.
Mm-hmm.
And we have at my facility, so our side berms are 12 feet tall and our back berm is 24.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that
So
should be ample enough sound dampening from your bays.
yeah, but we had to turn them down just a little bit.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we're playing with that to see if that's a better solution, just because it seems like the Android side of Practice Score is a little better supported.
Yeah. Eventually at some point Practice Score 2.0 will come out, but we might never see it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's even in the works. I mean, I donate personally to Practice Score because that app has saved me. I've been around in the sport long enough that I remember bringing home a big stack of stage receipts and typing everything into Easy Win Score
No,
and
thank
doing that
you.
too. Yes,
No, thank you.
it was not uncommon for me to be doing scores for 2.5, 3 hours after a match.
That sounds like an Andrew job.
Andrew wasn't around then. He was a little. He's been with me for probably 10 years, but not clear back to the. I want to say we started matches in '05 is kind of what I think
Mm-hmm.
is the first Ankeny Ike's Practical Shooters match.
That's a good amount of time for a club to be going.
Yeah,
Are you the oldest club in the Iowa section?
no, no, so we are IA09. So we are the 9th club in Iowa, and I think we're up to 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm. Now, are all 10 or 11 clubs still active?
No, no, I think there is. So there is a couple in Cedar Rapids, some in Lowell. I think there's probably 8 clubs.
Okay.
There's a newer one up in Holstein, Iowa, and there's another club here in Des Moines at an indoor range. Um, I don't mind shooting indoors, but outdoors is so much better.
Oh, 100%. For me, I can't get to a indoor match unless it's like 2 hours away.
Yeah,
I'm just like, nope.
yeah. Well, in November, December, January, February, I drive 2 hours for an indoor match, because like Michigan in Iowa, there's a few months that it's just not nice to go outside.
Yeah, that's for sure. I definitely understand a lot of people's complaints about that. Like World Speed Shooting Championship, for example. Everyone's like, it's too darn cold. Like,
What
and it's
it was
up
like
here.
40, right? What's the problem?
I mean, it's not cold, but for the people like us who live in the winter states, who can't easily go shoot, it sucks.
Yeah,
But
I've heard some feedback that people would prefer it to be later in the year because they don't feel like they have enough time to train up to get ready for it.
Hmm. Yeah, but honestly, unfortunately, I think it's a good time of the year because there's nothing going on in the schedule,
Correct.
which makes things easier because it sucks when you've got nationals or all these major there's no good weekend, right? There's never a good
No.
weekend that's not going to conflict with something else. But
No, there's always something going on.
yeah.
I think I've got a major every month. It's kind of nice. In 2 weeks I go to up near Sioux Falls for the Great Plains sectional. I'm the range master for that, so I'm looking forward to that. Um, and then after that in June is Cornhusker in Omaha, and um, yeah.
Hmm. Now, you as an RM, how involved are you in the process from getting asked to be the range master to the day of hammer down?
So for one that I'm traveling to, if they want me to look at stages, I will on paper. Otherwise, I typically let the match director design the stages and get them approved by NROI. And then, so like Great Plains, for example, I just talked to Andy on the phone today. I'm going over on Wednesday. It's kind of a combination trip. My brother just moved back from North Carolina, so I'm gonna and lives in Sioux Falls now. So I'm gonna try to get him into practical shooting. So I'm gonna stay with him. We're gonna go over. Um, I'll go over Wednesday. Unfortunately, I have a USPSA board meeting that night. But then that Thursday I'll go over, start looking at stages, help with any setup that needs finished up. We'll do final setup and stage walking on Friday. Staff shoots Saturday. I'll shoot with the staff. And then Sunday, I'll just be there to serve as range master for competitors.
Mhm.
And that's for one that I'm traveling to. That's pretty consistent. Um, and for my match, then I'm much more involved from setup. So our sectional, we have typically 11 stages. We start setup Friday night about 4 o'clock. Normally, we can get the bulk of 8 stages done in that first 4 or 5 hours.
Mhm.
And then Friday, we finish up the final 2 stages, get everything upped and bagged. And then I have there's 4 or 5 of us to go around and make sure everything looks nice. We're painting the walls. Our walls are a metal frame with a black mesh on it, a black plastic mesh. So we're going around and we're making sure, we typically have the bulk of our props out, so it's a great opportunity to get some maintenance done, get paint on anything that doesn't have it for weather protection. We're tying down any loose mesh. One of the things that I've started doing is I quit painting fault lines in advance. We put them all down on the ground, and then I typically have a couple volunteers that may not be able to swing hammers. But if you give them a 3-inch roller on a 6-foot stick and bright yellow paint, they can go around and paint the tops of all the fault lines once they're in place.
Mm.
And it,
Something that we found for fault lines is the line marking paint,
yeah,
and we'll just walk around with that just behind you, just hit the nozzle with it, and just hit it on the ground.
yeah, I'm a little OCD. I don't like how it sits on the grass that way. And with the roller, you just get the very tops,
Hmm.
um, and it works pretty good. We use an oil-based bright yellow paint. You just got to remember that, hey, you need to give that some time to dry.
Yeah.
That's got to be done Friday morning. Um, and so that, yeah, we're just making sure everything looks good, making sure all the barrels are painted, everything's nailed down. I've got what my Mr. Fix-It guy Earl is a genius with cabling. And so it's nice to be able to go to stage and say, hey, I want this to do this. and he'll ask me a few questions about you want to make sure he understands what I want, and then I walk away and I come back later and it does it. It's great.
Yeah, that is beneficial.
Yeah. And thankfully he's followed me to Area 3 again this year. So um, expect yellow poppers and a full stage of many targets.
Oh, there you go. But they can all blame Matt Hopkins for that.
Well, yes, you can this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not the yellow poppers. That's me, because that way I can say everything white in the match is a no shoot.
Oh, there you go. That's not a bad idea. No shoot poppers.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's got your match director juices churning, doesn't it?
I mean, yeah, it would definitely it'd be very intriguing to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
you saw that we had that no shoot steal on one bay, and
Yeah, I don't think that got me. I did chase the swinger into the no shoot on your little. I like that on your activators you built little houses for them.
mhm.
That is a unique approach that I've never seen done before.
That is I can't take credit for that. That is a Walt Pagel-ism. And it's because too cheap to buy waterproof targets, so we put housings over them to just so at least it's consistent throughout the whole match. You don't have to worry about trying. The worst thing is you try to put something up to cover it and protect it from the rain after you've already set it on the ground. It's like you set it up, you plan it into your wall count, and it's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I may have to steal it.
And we
Have you
all
ever been down to our sectional? Have you never
no, I
to
have
the
not.
Iowa?
I have not. No, I have not. I just started. I started shooting at the very end of 2020. So I really,
Holy smokes, you're like a newlywed. What is
yeah.
that?
You find friends who like you enough to keep bringing you along. Who like,
Man, I think I have shooting shoes older than you've been shooting.
yeah, yeah. So I started at the end of 2020, and kind of got really started in 21, and 22 was really my first big year this year. Well, 2022 was. So no, I haven't made it that far yet. I only have so much PTO, and I've got to find time to go to certain matches and have carpool buddies.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
here's how I afford matches. I take time off work and I go work a match. So that's usually how I get suckered into matches. And I'm
Yeah.
working five, other than my own. I think with my own sectional, I'm working 5 major matches this year.
Nice. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm not as lucky. I have to pick your brain. I have to pick Andrew's brain at some point because I got roped into being stats for Area 5. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's yeah. The really is depends on do you have, your fleet of device. And as I remember, you guys have a fair amount of devices.
Yeah, we do. We
So
have plenty of backups at this point. We have been smart. Every year we will buy 4 or 5 new junky, Amazon. I can't remember what the brands are because I don't ever buy them, but someone
yeah,
buys them. We get new tablets. So then eventually every year there's a couple that get chucked to the wayside that are just like, oh, these absolutely don't work, or they need a
right.
battery pack to turn on. So it's like you are junk.
I'm trying to remember when is Area 5? I want to say there's something.
First weekend of June, so first through the fourth.
I thought I looked at going and I think I've got a company event. So my company is sponsoring a car and plane show. So we have partnered with the Ankeny Regional Airport, and we're having a car and plane show that all the proceeds are going to benefit the local. There's a museum at the airport,
Mm.
and so that's one of our events of the year, and I have to go to it. As much as I would much rather shoot Area 5
Mm-hmm.
or do anything.
Right.
Um, yeah. Well, I can't say that. It'll be a fun time. It's just,
You'd rather be shooting.
well, I'd rather be shooting than doing about anything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's either I'm thinking about shooting or I'm shooting or thinking about shooting.
Yeah, that's how I feel most of the time. It's just like
Yeah.
I wish I could be on the range instead of at work, but that's usually
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah.
Even if it's just to get something done, like even if it's not to go shoot or anything, it's like, okay, I want to go work on this project to make this look nice, because sometimes there's always those things that you as a person setting up a match appreciates, but not necessarily the competitor would care about. If
Right.
how nice the grounds look.
Right. 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 That's one of the things coming into our, our sectional is I get out there. I have the ability to take the whole week off. And so usually the Monday I just do nothing because I
Mm-hmm.
know that the rest of the week is going to be crazy. And so um, Tuesday, I'm out there and hopefully I can work with our groundskeeper to have everything mowed nice and short, but not always. And so sometimes I've got to jump on the mower and get it done. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. You're right to make it look nice, make sure the safe areas are cleaned out, and um, yeah. But I've got a great group of volunteers that help do a lot of that stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, one of the things we added this year is I went to I think it's Speed Shooters Innovations that they have the bits for the big cordless hammer drills, and we've got one, and I just ordered four more of them of the bits, and I'll buy two more drills so that we can. But I tell you what, I'm a desk jockey, and if you get if I've driven 30 or 40 nails, I feel it in my hands
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree.
pretty quickly.
Everyone just needs to go buy a hammer drill and the bit and thank themselves later.
Yeah,
It's so much nicer.
it is so much nicer. I don't and then yeah, it's one of those things that we have the luxury that we can drop a few $100s on a nice a DeWalt hammer drill and some of those bits, and it's just way nicer.
Mm-hmm. I think we're hoping to get maybe another two more soon, because we have two drills and two bits at the moment, but we definitely need two more drills.
Yeah, we got one, and I don't know how they managed to do it. They broke the plastic collar already, and so I've got to figure out which parts to order to keep extras, and then I just ordered more of the bits. It seems like they have a little bit of a hard time keeping them in stock because when I bought the first one, there was only one in stock, and this last one there was only four, and I bought them all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that makes a huge difference over. We've been using a sledgehammer forever, and it's just like, wow, this is so much nicer.
Mm-hmm. Especially you can literally give it to anybody. You don't have to have some burly person to be like, go hammering nails.
Correct.
Be like,
Yep.
here, little frail person, pull the trigger on this thing and put it over the, put
Yeah,
it over
and
the
just
nail.
push down a little bit. Just lean on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then one of our local metal fabricators made a bunch of nail pullers so they're like 3 foot long. So you can just, you don't have to worry about, crowbar, claw hammer, whatever. It makes it a lot nicer.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I guess
Well,
that's the biggest thing that makes our match a lot so much efficient is we have custom built trailers. So each trailer will hold 6 or 8 poppers. It holds all the wall bases. It holds nails. It's it's I the we use a gator with a front hitch, and I just push the trailer in onto the bay, drop it there, and everything they need to build a 32 round field course is on that trailer. And then when you finish at night, you tear down the stage you finish on, you just put it all back on the trailer and you're done.
mm-hmm.
The walls live on the bay. We just chain them up to prevent. Um, I think our range is like any other range that is not. We don't have any staff. It's kind of member policed.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that's not nailed down or chained down, it will eventually end up downrange and shot. And so that we have to chain up the walls to prevent them ending up downrange and being shot.
That's unfortunate, but that's why our event space and all of our props are all gated away.
Right. See, we don't have that, so that's the other reason our bays have to be cleared every time is the general membership. So the way it works at our facility is you're issued a card that the computer system that runs the gate recognizes. So you swipe your card, the gate opens, you go in and shoot. And then the system has hours that allows people to shoot. So if it's too late at night, it won't open the gate for you.
Mm. Makes sense. That
Yeah.
does make sense. Well, Scott, we've been here for quite a bit. I have quite enjoyed it, but I do have a couple more questions and we'll be getting this wrapped up. But what is something, if you could tell past Scott, so if current Scott could tell past Scott about, being a shooter, being a match organizer, or just being anything really, what would you enlighten yourself with?
The thing that took me the hardest to learn was how to give up control. Um, I'm guilty of being a type A personality, and it took me a long time, and I think I probably alienated a few volunteers when their stages, while they were technically legal, they probably were not the way that I would have done them. And it took me a long time to realize, hey, everybody's different. Everyone's idea of what's fun in a stage is different, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Especially at the club level. When it comes to the sectional level, I do take a pretty active role in stage design because I have um, the sectional that I run here, that we run here in Des Moines, or here at Ankeny, at the Ankeny Hikes. It's known for being a fairly technical match. We will have the fast burner stages, but at the same time, we're pretty famous for 40-yard mini poppers, and not just one, three or four of them.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a target array at the last sectional that accounted for about, we had, I think, 205 competitors, and it accounted for 248 misses.
Oof.
And so what it was is it was on a stage, on a bay that's about 45 yards wide. No, it was a smaller bay. It was only 25, 30 yards wide. But in the center of it was a pair of swingers that came out from behind a wall. And when you activated them, you had to be at the very far corner. And so you were shooting diagonally almost all the way across the bay at a swinger. You could choose to activate them both and then come back to the center and have a straight on presentation where you can see the normal swinger presentation and you can trap it at the bottom. But you couldn't do that from where you activated it. And that's where most people tried to shoot it from. And it was painful. It was a very, very tough shot, but it was one that a lesser skilled competitor, sure, they would have to cover a little more ground, but they could make that into a much easier shot. Most
Mm-hmm.
people chose not to because it's time, right? That retreat to that central position was probably 15 yards one way.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a pretty spicy shot. And I didn't realize when I built it how bad it was. Even watching it and watching it activated and watching it through staff, I didn't realize. But I started looking through practice score and looking at how many misses were on, and that was that whole stage. Um, but I would say, you know, most people, their misses were on those two swingers.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then we're famous for the Osceola table, which is I think Joel Park laid down it was either a 12 or a 14 hit factor on a 16-yard stage with a reload.
Oh, that's like when they were shooting above the table and below the table.
Yep, that's the Osceola table.
Mm-hmm.
That's a crowd pleaser here. Everyone likes to shoot that. It's how fast can you go?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that is pretty impressive. Just raw speed and how fast can you burn it?
yep, how fast you burn, and you've got to hit your draw, you got to hit your reload.
Mm-hmm.
It really pushes the fundamentals. It's all about recoil control. and still having an adequate sight picture. And sometimes, you have to know what is an adequate sight picture for you, because it's different from everyone.
Oh, absolutely. Because I can get away with something that somebody else might not be able to get away with.
Right.
And,
Right.
And if I can do it, I'm a B-class schlub. So I mean, hopefully anyone else can do it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But Scott, if people want to get a hold of you, if it's personally or for the board, where can they get a hold of you?
So my USPSA email, the area 3 at uspsa.org does work. That forwards to me. I also have scott.arnburg at uspsa.org. Is probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. Also, another alternative email is uspsa at ankenyikes.org. That goes to me also. The email's probably the easiest way, or I don't post often to social media, but I am on Instagram and Facebook. I will see the messages. And typically, if you send me an email, I'll reply. I much prefer to talk on the phone. My cell phone number is out there everywhere. So if you see it, don't hesitate to give me a call. I won't necessarily pick up, but I definitely will call back.
100%. Well, Scott, I appreciate your time, and it's actually been fun. I've quite enjoyed our conversation today of just getting to know each other a little better and
Yeah,
shooting the crap. I mean, more people need is just these good, hearty conversations.
absolutely. So do you have dates for next year's Michigan sectional?
No, not yet. Not yet.
What?
Not yet.
Oh, don't you guys move it around? Isn't it somewhere else? Didn't you tell me that?
Yeah, I'll explain it. Yeah, it moves a little bit, but we'll see. We'll figure something out. I got to
You're
talk to.
you're you're not the match director again?
No, no.
Why
I
not?
because it's moving, and I'm not a member of that club.
Well, you could still be the match director.
I mean, kinda. It depends on their bylaws of their club. It's weird.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that is one advantage is no one else has shown an interest. I wouldn't mind giving it up for a year, but at the same time, I'm not going to not let it happen.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Scott, for coming on. I've greatly appreciated it. The listeners have greatly appreciated it as well.
All right, thank you, Manny. I appreciate it. It's
No
good
problem.
talking to you.
It is good talking to you. And listeners, until next time, get out and do things, and I will see you on the next one.